Come in to the Author's Corner. Today, Rob Cadigan reads from his novel, Phoenixville Rising.
Here, my main character tries to escape his rough steel mill town, if only for a day. I was 8 years old the first time I saw the ocean, on a family vacation with my brother Rusty and our mother and some man named Bud who paid begrudgingly for an endless supply of caramel corn and pinball along the boardwalk. The water was beautiful, with its roar and its foam and its Maxfield Parish blue. It was the weight of the sea, the sheer enormity of it, that did me in. Rusty kept telling me that body surfing was the only way to ride, and I did whatever Rusty said. But my big brother was twice my size, and a wipeout, an all-out toss-and-turn, head-over-heels wipeout, was nothing but a rush to a teenager like Rusty. To a child like me, a lollipop with spaghetti limbs and not an ounce of muscle, a wipeout was an inescapable death spiral. I could swim. All the summers at the Y did that for me, but nothing prepared me for the way the waves got me in their hands, squeezing the life from me, toying with me, wrenching me down. My face breaking the surface, stealing morsels of breath before going under again. Finding the shoreline, my mother there on the beach, just yards away, far enough to be useless. I still remember all of that. I'm author Rob Cadigan.
Reading from Phoenixville Rising, published by Rogers Forge Press. Learn more at authorscorner.org.
What's your healthiest meal?
What?
Do you have any health meals? Anything that's fresh?
No, we don't.
The culture in America is that everything revolves around food, and unhealthy food.
The healthcare cost trajectory is out of control because the consumers are not in charge.
This is clearly an unsustainable trend.
We're not telling people how to use food.
Red meat,
beef,
green beans with bacon and butter.
When we talk about this idea of plant-based nutrition, it's a powerful concept, and it's one that my father is associated with.
Dr. Colin Campbell, Doc. Whole Foods plant-based diet.
Right.
You don't mean the store.
You know, I went on essentially a plant-based diet. No dairy, no meat. Type 2 diabetes, heart disease, hypertension. Gone.
Physicians don't know how to prescribe a diet. We've been taught how to write prescriptions.
Right now, this information isn't available to them. So how can they make a decision?
We're working our way into the political process here.
The absence of meat as part of your diet is not the best direction for all Kentuckians.
You got to realize that there's a lot of big money interest.
But the amendment itself is flat out true.
We're trying to demonstrate this concept in this community.
We offered 10 days of food.
I've been testing for 26 years, and I've never seen results like this.
Mr. Speaker, I call for a vote.
The folks that are challenging this, they represent big business.
Well, the truth is a stubborn thing, and it doesn't go away.
The documentary PlantPure Nation explores scientific evidence.
In any movement, the first step is always the hardest.
Your total cholesterol is 150.
Is that accurate?
Yep.
When people learn about this, the very next question they ask, why haven't I heard this before? Why? Because revolutions can't start without awareness.
Back when I started in this, there were 3 farmers markets. Now there's about 26.
The amount of money that we spend to create the kind of health situation we have, it's not working.
This is going to be a lifestyle.
Our thesis is that we've got to change this world from the bottom up.
Hi, you are listening to KABF 88.3 FM. This is Tracy Crain, and I'm here with John Cain, and you are tuned in to the Tracy Crain and John Cain Show. It is Tuesday, a little bit gray, but still a wonderful day nonetheless. Hi, John. How are you?
Oh, I'm good.
Wrong
John. Sorry.
We have two Johns in the studio. Yeah. Well, actually, we have one on the line with us, and we have one in the studio. I'm assisted with, of course, John Cain, our program director, longtime station employee, manager, you name it. He has done it all. John Cain, I'm so fortunate to have him here as my co-host. He is assisting with me on the board. And then I also have a very special guest today, John Corry. John Corry is a film producer, and he has a film premiere coming up here in Little Rock this week, and we're going to be talking about that. John, are you there? John Corry. Yes, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Well, I'd like to know what that challenge was, John, with the Kentucky legislature and that kind of initiative when you took this to your home state.
You want to know about what we did with the Kentucky legislature?
Yeah, and how you were received with your initiative.
Well, initially, the whole story started when Dr. T. Colin Campbell, who authored a best-selling book called The China Study, and his colleague, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, were invited to the Kentucky legislature to talk about the concept of plant-based nutrition. The idea being the more you lean your diet into plant-based foods and the less you eat of animal-based foods, the better your health is going to be in terms of high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, obesity, etc. And then there's a host of other benefits from the diet, but that was sort of the historic nature of the thing. Is these two doctors, for the first time and anywhere in the country, brought this concept to the floor of a state legislature, and they were well received. And afterwards, I think they voted unanimously to proclaim these two doctors as wonderful people. They had both been in a film that I was fortunate enough to produce back in 2011 called Forks Over Knives, which has become a phenomenon around the country. Millions and millions of people have seen it in the theaters and on Netflix, and it spawned 4 best-selling books and a number of other things. Well, that's why these two doctors have such a high profile now. It was in part because of this film. Well, anyway, Dr. Campbell's son, Nelson, thought that there was an ideal time after their appearance on the floor to propose a pilot program where they could show and establish in Kentucky, maybe in one of the areas in the eastern rural area where there's more poverty, more food deserts, they could show how a plant-based diet could improve the lives of the people that went on it, maybe in 10 days, and they were going to pay for it all. And and it seemed like a great idea. And but once it went behind closed doors, one of the legislators there, his name was Representative Tom Reiner. Tom actually put the bill together with Dr. Campbell's son Nelson. They found that they felt like they'd seen more opposition to this and more aggressive lobbying than his entire career there, and he couldn't figure out why people were so upset with the idea of them trying to prove. And what there was no cost to the state either. There was no cost, no outlay. They were going to pay for it, and Nelson was going to pay for it. So anyway, the bill was watered down, and they started attaching all kinds of demands, and it just turned out not having any kind of effect at all. It ended up being a request to do a kind of a report, and so there would be no pilot program. And so Nelson decided, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just go back to my hometown in North Carolina, and I'll do the pilot program by myself. And if I get good results, maybe I can come back to the legislature, and maybe they'd be more open to the idea. So that's when he started shooting a documentary and got the director at that time. He brought in a writer, Lee Fulkerson, who directed the movie Forks Over Knives, and they started documenting a series of jump starts in Nelson's small town of Mebane, North Carolina. And the question was, in a small southern rural town, would people be receptive to the idea of eating foods that tasted like their favorite foods, like barbecue and things like that, but in fact were more plant-based? And so that's when they started shooting the movie. And And I got involved right after they finished doing the jump starts, when they wanted they knew they had something special because the results were so dramatic, and they wanted me to come in and help them produce the rest of it. And so then I got on board, and Lee Fulkerson and I have been working together since our History Channel days back in 2000.
Well, let me jump right in here again. So it looks like when it comes to food, you got a tough fight, but not as tough as a marijuana initiative. Look like Kentucky is big on that. Ms. McConnell is helping to legislate that with longtime farmers in Kentucky. Did you run into any pushback on that kind of issue?
Well, I'm not familiar with that issue, but I am familiar with the power that the Kentucky Farm Bureau has, and the big ag has, the big pharmaceutical companies have, media companies. The media companies are fed by the endless commercials you see on TV by the pharmaceutical companies. So they're not going to bring this issue necessarily to the forefront. So as I got involved in the film, we started asking ourselves the question that people always ask after they've seen Forks Over Knives, the documentary, or after they've read the book, The China Study. A lot of people, one of the first things they say is, my gosh, how come I've never heard this before? So when I got involved with the documentary, we set out to not, because we knew we had something special. We knew we had the data to show in 10 days how 90% of the people involved were in a position where they could start weaning themselves off the medications they were on. So there's a lot of people. There's a lot of organizations that are doing just fine right now with the status quo. But the problem is, as a country, as more and more of our baby boomers retire and get involved in the Medicare, Medi-Cal, and Medicaid system, we are not going to be able to afford all of the health care that these chronic diseases cost us. More than 70% of the cost of health care go to our 4 most common chronic diseases, and each one of those are lifestyle-driven diseases, which means we're bringing it on ourselves, but also it means it's correctable and reversible.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Corry, tell me a little bit about how this works. So you guys you have a film premiere. It is Thursday at the Riverdale 10 here in Little Rock, which is located at 2800 Cantrell Road. And they're going to be showing it twice, one at 7 and one at 9. But that's not the only place that it's premiering tonight. It's also being shown in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's also going to be in Asheville, North Carolina. And it's going to be in Orchard Park, New York, and also Red Hook, New York. And so a lot of people are going to get the opportunity to see this stuff. And part of taking this battle that you're having with the Kentucky legislature to the film room, per se, is that you're kind of trying to do a call to action. This is not just where you go and you see a film. This is where you go to see a film to get more information. And if you want to get involved, there's things that you can do at this point after seeing the film to sort of help the momentum, the movement grow and sort of get more people involved in those kind of things. Is that correct?
That's right. We have shown the film now in about 120 cities. Many times we've shown it more than once, and almost always to packed houses or sold-out theaters. We started showing the film as a fine cut, but it wasn't completely finished, on a tour we did from April to June, and we went to 23 cities around the USA, and with Dr. Campbell, Nelson Campbell, his wife Kim, and myself, and we would do Q&A after the film, and it helped us get the word out about the film, about the movie. And since it was from the producer and the writer of Forks Over Knives, there's a lot of people want to know, well, what have they been up to lately? And so at each of these towns, we started realizing how there's such a passion out there for what we're doing, and we came up with the concept of establishing pods in every city there with organizations that are already set up or people that want to get involved. They can go onto our website and connect with people in the local town, and it's a lot of people come to the plant-based diet and the plant-based way of eating, and it doesn't have to be 100%. A lot of people just kind of lean in that way, but they find that when they do, they're healthier. But a lot of people are in it for different reasons. Some people are in it for the environment because of the destructive nature of what what animal-based and animal-based farming does to they're clearing rainforest all over just to make room for grazing cows. You've got the monocropping issues. You've got the fertilizer, GMO issues. A lot of issues that the environmentalists feel like they want to eat for that reason. Some people do it for the love of animals. Some people do it from an ethical, spiritual point of view. Others come to the diet because of their health, and they see how much better they feel, how much better they sleep, the energy they get. I myself started doing the diet after I got involved in the first film, and so the pods allow people to come together and do things together where they can have potlucks and share recipes, share ideas, have campaigns where maybe they go around to various restaurants and encourage the owners to put more things on the menu that allow people that eat this way to feel more comfortable going out to eat there. So, and then there's other things that we're looking to do on more of a national scale. But that's the idea of the pods. And I would just say too that in the film, after we had the results, Nelson went back to Kentucky, but he needed to have a strategy to get the legislatures to take him seriously. And so he and Representative Tom Reiner came up with a way that they could get people and get this notion brought back up onto the onto the floor of the House of Representatives, and that's where all the drama was. That's where we weren't quite undercover, but we weren't exactly announcing we were making a movie either. Okay. And we were able to get someone to really expose what happens there. And then after that, we took parts of that film and we threw a big rally in Louisville, and we showed that debate, that floor debate, to the crowd and filmed that as part of the movie. And then when we went and did these rallies, the publicity tour, we filmed 23 cities, and we put a lot of that footage into the film as well. So these are innovative documentary techniques that we brought to the story because it was literally unfolding before our eyes. And even today, the film's unfolding. We'll wrap up our theatrical in a couple weeks. We're going to go to iTunes on the 17th of this month, and then to DVD on the 21st of this month on our website. But even now, we're getting involved with state and city governments and churches. There are a lot of people that are really excited to be able to see what switching a diet can do to city employees, companies that are self-insured, finding they could save a whole lot of money when their employees start to eat more healthy, and so city governments and churches. Trinity United Church in Chicago had 1,500 people come and watch the movie. So we've been filming these things as we go. We don't know if it's going to be part of a reality show someday, or maybe it's part of a sequel. But we're at the very least we're making clips of what we're doing, and so the story is the movie is really the beginning of a movement, and we've got 16,000 people that have signed on so far to be involved and to help us promote this idea, because it's an idea that it doesn't cost that much, and there's so much money at stake in our country right now.
So you're doing your own distribution?
I beg your pardon?
You're doing your own distribution?
Well, we have a film booker that just distributes the film for us. But yes, we do all of our own publicity. We haven't had to do a radio or TV or a newspaper ad. We've had people in every town that have been so excited they've helped us get the word out. And Facebook has been a strong driver for us in micro-targeting our paid ads on social media. So it's been a social media phenomenon. This really is one of those grassroots movements that's come from the bottom up. The actress Mary Lou Henner got involved, and she hosted our Q&A at the movie premiere in Los Angeles back in June, and so a number of high-profile people have reached out to us and wanted to help us get the word out as we move forward. So the film is really the beginning, whereas a lot of movies, the documentary is what it is, and it brings attention to an issue, and that's it. But with our film, we invite people to come to our website to get involved, join a pod, and let's help get the word out, because it's helping so many people. And as the word gets out, people want to know, well, how come I haven't heard this before? And they want to help with that messaging. So that's the fun thing for me, is watching this all grow. And when it does eventually get to Netflix and it'll be on video on demand for all television, mostly television and cable and satellite services like Dish, DirecTV, Comcast, Bright House, Time Warner, cable. The cable, all of that video on demand begins on the 17th of November. So it's only going to get bigger in terms of more people being able to finally see the film. And since we've been in theaters for about 7 months, there's been a lot of people have heard about it, and they're waiting for an opportunity to be able to see it for themselves. So we're looking forward to that.
Well, make an audio version for radio for us.
I have two questions for you. Okay, the first one is, do you want to see prescriptions replaced with a plant-based diet, per se? Is that one of your objectives with this? Is that part of taking it to the legislature?
Well, taking it to the legislature, we just wanted them to acknowledge that numerous studies have shown that a plant-based diet has been beneficial in helping lower the needs and reverse and drop the needs for prescription medication. So a number of doctors, they know this, but in the 10 minutes they can have with a patient, they don't have time to get into explaining to them what diet is, and a lot of them don't know the power of diet or proper nutrition. Yeah. But and so it's very easy just to write a prescription. But you've got a country now where more than half of us are taking one pill now, and people that are over 50 and over 60 and 75, you find that the averages for many of them are 5 pills a day. So we're prescribing pills to fix the symptoms, but we aren't fixing the underlying problem, which at the root of all of this, many of our chronic diseases, is the standard of Western diet, which is crippling, and it's just loaded with saturated animal fat and sugars and processed foods and oil, and all those things collectively are literally killing us. And so it's not so much to get doctors to stop doing prescriptions. We believe in weaning people off, but it's not a popular message for the folks that are doing really well financially with the way things are, where people would rather just take a pill and keep eating the way that they are.
And so you are looking for it, you are trying to raise awareness as an alternative to prescription medication, is that correct?
That's right.
Because there are a lot of benefits to it. And let's talk briefly about some of those benefits. What have you found in the research that, that proves that this is a better option than taking medication per se?
Well, the numbers speak for themselves. I'm not a doctor. I'm a film producer. But if you wanted to get more detail, I would say read the China study. It's out there. It's sold over 1 million copies. Watch Forks Over Knives, and you can sort of see for yourself. But what happens right off the bat is people tend to the blood pressures tend to go down. You find that their energy levels go up, that their need for insulin and type 2 diabetes medication goes away. And you also find that their cholesterol levels drop like a rock. And these are the indicators for most doctors when they're prescribing medication. So it's something that you can, and what we, in Forks Over Knives, we put a lot of our we had some reality patients in there that really opened up a lot of eyes, and they did it for 12 weeks. And then in this particular film, we put people on a jump start for 10 days and showed dramatic results. So, that's what people, and these aren't anomalies. This is what you can expect when people start leaning away from animal-based foods and leaning away from processed foods, leaning away from oil in their diet and high portions of salt and things like that. And if they eat a whole food plant-based diet, the body adapts rather quickly. And then there's a host of other things that I've seen on the road. People that have a number of ailments, arthritis. A lot of people they find that there's less inflammation in their system. Their arthritis symptoms just go away. For me, I noticed my nails started growing like weeds. My hair started coming back more fully. Some people they see renewed their eye prescription changes because they're getting more of the nutrients. They're getting the fiber that they need. They're getting the phytochemicals that they're deprived of when eating processed foods, and there's not a lot of nutrition. Meat and dairy might have a little bit of protein in it, but it doesn't have an fiber you need, and it certainly doesn't have nearly all the minerals that our body really needs. So the less, and people don't realize that they're depriving their body of this when they're just sort of eating the standard American diet. But what they find is when they start eating this way, that a whole host of things start to come to fruition, And also for me, I found I don't need as much sleep, and I sleep much better.
There's a quote that says, let food be thy medicine shall be thy food. It seems kind of rather apt for some of the stuff that you guys have going on. I was taking a look at your website, and you've got, the PlantPure Nation website, and they've got some great little statistics on there. It says in trolling around the internet to find interesting things to report on, we found the following top 10 health tips from friend of the nation, James Markham. And one of the things, they were talking about is drink water and eat more plants. They say plants are filled with disease-fighting and health-building nutrients and fiber. Try eating 3 to 5 servings of real food a day. There is real truth to the old adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Real briefly, I know that water is a topic that they bring up more than once on the PlantPure Nation website. And again, if you'd like more information, I would encourage you to visit that website. John, if you want to give us that website address again, it's PlantPure.
PlantPureNation.com.
Okay, absolutely. And then if you want to see the documentary this Thursday, and we would encourage you to take a look at it and explore those options as an alternative. And healthy eating is always a good idea. You can go to www.riverdale10.com, and they can give you some more information on the listings there. But I know that is playing. They have one at 7 and another one at 9. I think it's at 9:15 actually.
It's for one day only.
Yes, it is a one day only, and so we do encourage you to take a look at that. We've got just a few more minutes. John, is there anything that you would like to include in passing?
I would just say that I didn't want to give the film away, but it's a story that I got involved in where I didn't know the ending. And with Books Over Knives, we kind of knew the ending. We knew what to expect with reality patients, but with this film, we really didn't know the outcome, and we documented it so it has a really strong, dramatic storyline that plays out as you follow Nelson on his journey. And we also step back and we explore other issues such as food deserts and the plight of the small family farmer and farmers markets and food deserts. So it was a real fun project to get involved in. I'm really excited for this one because it answers that question that a lot of people have had, and also it really encourages. It seems to be encouraging people after they see the film to want to come together and see if they can help spread the word out. It's helping thousands and thousands of people every day. More people leaning into this way of eating, and it's showing up. If you notice, if you follow the news, every day you're hearing about more and more restaurants offering these options, and more people getting off the medications and talking about it. And you can't keep the truth is a stubborn thing. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And that's something that's mentioned in the film, and it's the log line of the tagline for the movie. And so it's just a matter of getting the word out and having people think a little bit more thoughtfully about the foods that they eat, and they can really be rewarded if they're leaning to more of a plant-based diet.
So we got 1 minute left, John. Can you close?
I thought I just did.
For more information, do go and take a look at the website. You can learn more about it there at www.plantpurenation.com. John?
Yep. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you very much. I hope all of the premieres go well, and we really appreciate your time today. It's been fascinating learning about this, and we hope more and more people will try to add more plants to their diet.
You betcha. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, John.
All right.
Bye-bye.